Well, hey, tubers, tubettes, the ever-widening circle of crazy people. The title of this little video is going to be something to the effect of hitting bottom or hitting rock bottom. And whenever I hear that phrase of someone hitting rock bottom, I always associate it with alcoholism or drug or substance abuse. However, and that's true. I've been surrounded by people with those afflictions, and no matter how much counseling or advice or interventions you may do, it has to be their choice. And so the faster they get to rock bottom, the better it is for them. And then they will be sick and tired of being sick and tired and make the necessary changes. The rock bottom that I'm going to talk about today is my own, and fortunately, it doesn't have anything to do with drug or substance or alcohol abuse. But about 5 or 6 years ago, I did hit rock bottom right after the recession. I hit rock bottom financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and mentally. And hindsight being 2020, as painful as it was at the time, as much as I hated going through it, I wouldn't change a thing, which sounds crazy, I know. But I feel that having gone through it, I kind of akin it to being set on fire. That's exactly what it felt like. And if I was set on fire, two options. I could either have been burnt to a crisp, or I could have walked out of it and hopefully have been refined in some way. Some of the impurities through that fire would have been burnt off. And fortunately for me, I believe that was the case. When I was at rock bottom, it gave me an opportunity to be truly reflective and take a solid, honest look at myself and realize that I had been settling for a life of mediocrity, even though it may at times would have been, appearance-wise, it would have seemed that I was doing really, really well, when in fact I wasn't doing well at all. And had I not gotten to the bottom, I imagine that all of the dysfunctional and unhealthy things that I was doing and thinking and acting on would have just simply continued. But thankfully, everything in my life was just pretty much yanked from underneath me. And naturally, I had a pity party and was blaming everybody but myself and circumstances and the banks and this and that. And then I realized that no, it's on me. That was healthy. I was in that moment of reflection. I was able to look back at all of the things that I had been doing, the behaviors that I'd had, that really was Groundhog Day. It really was just being on the hamster wheel, doing the same thing over and over and over again. And by having it all taken away, not only did I get off the hamster wheel, but I was also able to have that, what I thought was so important to me, stripped and taken. And it began to lead me on a different path and a different and new, and I think exciting way of thinking. I've spoken before about minimalism. Guy asked me the other day, what would I do if I suddenly came into $1 million? And I snarkily replied, well, I'd just buy it. I'd just spend it all on clothes. Because I really don't put that much into, financial security is wonderful. And I'm a big believer in it. And every month I set aside money for my financial security. But I no longer allow my bank balance, big or small, to define me. That's not where it's at. When you hit bottom, once you go through the analysis, then you're going to, I find that once the analysis is done, this gives you an opportunity for the proverbial fresh start and a new way of thinking and a realization of what wasn't working, and also the ability to kind of just let it all go. And for me, a very big part of that was to forgive myself. And uh, I realized at the bottom that when I was at the proverbial top, inside of me was this great big hole. And that I kept trying to fill the hole up with material objects or with accolades or with awards or things that would feed my ego. And I came to the conclusion that I need to really just stop and learn to like myself for myself, not what I have. I started to take a hard look at the people that I associated with and what they brought to the party or didn't. Do I really want to emulate them, or do I want to take a different path? And taking a different path for me was exactly what I chose. Not necessarily the path less chosen or whatever that saying is, but it was my path. And I discovered what really, really was important to me. And for me, it was letting go of guilt, shame, anger, resentment, grudges, because they were always spinning around and they were producing absolutely nothing. So once I was able to exercise that out of my life, there was nowhere to go from the bottom but up. It gave me a different sense of not only self-worth, but as to how I viewed the world and how I viewed people. And what kind of person did I want to be, and how did I want to interact with people? It definitely gave me an awareness of my bad habits. It gave me an awareness of poor decision making. And now I had a choice to drop the bad habits, think more about my decision making, and be a little more cognizant of those that are around me and how those habits and those decisions that I make not only affect me, but may affect them. So I feel that through that breeds compassion for other people that may not have existed. Yeah, you feel sorry for this guy because he's down and out, but that's just it. You keep on walking. When you've been at the bottom and you see someone else at the bottom these days, or at least it gives me pause to possibly not just walk by them, but maybe stop for a minute and offer a word or a moment. They say the tallest a man is when he's leaning over to pick somebody else up. So it's not that I'm some sort of saint or savior, but I do try to now be just a little bit better tomorrow than I was yesterday. And when I find myself coveting after this or yearning for that or complaining about what I haven't got, it's a real good exercise for me just to pause and go back to when I was at the bottom and the things that I analyzed and how much emphasis do I need to put on those things. I trust in myself. I don't let my ego run the show with grandiose ideas or goals or aspirations. I've learned to just sort of be happy with that which I do have and grateful that I have it. And if something over and above that comes my way, then all the better. But My empathy and my sympathy for others has definitely increased. And my need and my desire to get involved with the community and those that I love, and even those especially that I don't love, and try to have a positive attitude with them, allows me to sleep very soundly at night. I no longer go to bed rewinding the movie in my mind of all the things that are bothering me. I don't know about you, but when I'm mad at somebody and or they've done me a wrong and I can't let it go, I let it fester inside of me. I find it hard to sleep. I go to bed at night and I rewind in the movie what they did to me, and I rewind what I should do to them and how it would go about, and I find myself just getting all worked up. And pretty soon it's 3 in the morning and I haven't closed my eyes. Those type of things are the things that I'm discussing, that I have learned just to let it go. It doesn't matter if they wronged you. That's not my problem. It's really theirs. A little bit of humility, a little bit of compassion, letting go is a very liberating feeling, and taking responsibility for the life that I lead is very, very empowering. I felt before like I was sort of a puppet, that I had to do what the boss said, I had to do what the wife said, I needed to do what the kids needed. And while all those things are true, it still didn't allow me any kind of sense of true independence. I didn't have to move to the Philippines to fulfill anything. That had already been done really before I got here. I had managed to let all of that go. And when I got to the airport and came over here, I definitely left it with, I didn't put it in my luggage with me and bring it over. When I came out here, I found it to be an opportunity to not only sort of start over. I don't want to say I reinvented myself, but because of the cost of living and because of the nature of the attitudes of the people here in Asia are so much different from where I came from, that it made my adaptation from the old me to the new me that much simpler. As I go through my day-to-day routine out here, I see so many people that just smile. And that just goes miles with me. In America, it was a lot of scowling faces, a lot of disenchanted people, and a lot of people that I think were heading for the bottom. I don't want to expand too much on the differences of America and the Philippines. This is more of a self-reflective type of video. But I'm not telling anybody that they need to come here or anywhere else. This can be done in your own living room. At least that's where I accomplished it. But that being said, I've had a lot of conversations with guys that recently, and I think it's been brought on by the pandemic has had a major effect on a lot of people, and it's also nearing the holidays. So what I would just like to end this video with is this. For those of you that I've talked to personally on the phone recently, and for those that I haven't talked to that are listening to this now, if you feel that you're getting near the bottom, hurry up and get there. Hurry up. Hit the bottom. Because there's only one other place to go from there, and that's up. All right, guys. I'll see you in the next video.